Well, you know how I roll on this channel. Another day, another project. So this is a project that's going to be worked on for somebody, and we're basically going to pimp this up because in its current form, I am told it is a piece of garbage. Those were his words, not mine. So we're going to be tightening this up. We're going to be stripping most of the stuff out of it. I'm going to be, the suppressor is a bit of a giveaway of who it's for. But this is going to be machined to fit the barrel, or the barrel to fit this. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it yet. And we're also going to shorten it. We're going to strip some of the useless parts out. You know, this is just a run-of-the-mill cheap M4 that obviously Novritsch rebrands. Let's have a quick look inside it, shall we? I'm guessing that's going to be the old 2.5. Yep. But yeah, I'm told this is not very good, so we're going to be pimping it out. And I might as well just say it, actually. This is another gun for Kicking Mustang. And if you're going to go down in the comments and go, blah, 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 Kicking Mustang, you've sold your soul to the devil and all that bullshit, honestly, just fucking unsubscribe and piss off. I really couldn't care less. The guy has always been really nice to me. And I will always treat people on face value. So it doesn't matter if someone calls you a see you next Tuesday. If you're good to me and, you know, I get the feeling you're a genuine person, then I'm going to deal with you. So, and I've always had that with James. I've always had a good relationship with him. What he does on the field and what he records and who it pisses off, honestly, just get a life. But this is a gun for him. He had a video where he was out in the States and he was using a gun that had I think it was a Redline HPA kit. Let me just fetch it. So I believe there's a video. If I get his permission, I'll pop the video up now.
All stations, execute.
Those voices are closing on us over.
In that video, he was using an M4, I believe, with this Redline N7 Gen 2 Milsim kit for an M4. And apparently this has come over, I think this is the same kit, maybe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this has come up from over there to be installed into this, or something, and then he decided on this because in its current form, I think it's not very good. You know, love him or hate him, I used to love Novritsch's videos, and yeah, they've obviously made a good business model, get the viewership, get the audience, and then start churning out some products. But it is all rebranded stuff. Some of it has upgrades, yeah, this, neither here or there. So we're going to install this kit into it, but we're also going to be pimping this thing out. So I'm going to be doing something with the colour theme, and we're going to be doing something with a receiver, maybe switching up the stock and the grip. I'm also going to shorten this rail, and the thing that he's going to be using this for is we want something very manoeuvrable and sneaky, but we also want the ability for him to attach his tag launcher, so that he can slide that on there. And the idea of it is silent, accurate battle rifle, and then you know, on the other end of the horn, if you will, is a stonking tag launcher. So that's the bit that's the way the build's going to go. I've kind of got a bit of creative freedom with this. I said I'm going to put like a nice colour on it. We're probably going to take this hop unit out and sack that off, because these hop units aren't the best. I do have a nice Crytac. Crytac do make a good hop unit. I've got one somewhere which I'm going to throw in for him. Perhaps shove it in a barrel in there. Do something with the hop and the patch combo that I like to do on the rifles, and then switch this up a bit. We did briefly talk about slim pistol grips, because I do have a spare Aries one. They are really nice, and it doesn't really matter with this build. I mean, the grip is a bit chonky, and these Amoeba grips are pretty cool. So we might do that, but let's take this thing apart and let's see what's going on inside this thing. So it's a 4. We can use this. That off. Let's get rid of this. It does have a quick spring change. And one of these awful designs. Who did this first? I think it was Classic Army. Let's make the motor grip have a little latch that can be like triggered and drop the motor out the gun. I really don't like this design. I'd rather just have it secured with a couple of screws, because it's just pointless. How often do you have to have like a quick access drop the motor out, you know, that can't just be solved with, you know, a couple of screws? Reliability over stupidity, I think, is the phrase. Right, let's pull this out. There's 4 screws in this one. So yeah, we've decided to call this project Minotaur, or Minotaur, however you want to pronounce it, because, you know, it's a 2-horned approach: silent, deadly, accurate, precise, and then if it all goes to shit, you've got a, a tag launcher on the bottom to start slinging some pyro. This is like your typical Chinese M4. Yeah, they might have done a few bits here and there. He was telling me how useless his P90 was as well, that he had from them. And if you see a lot of influencers, I mean, he's not one of them, but you do see a lot of influencers covering Novritsch stuff, and it, you know, it almost makes you think, do these people get paid? Because they all like literally are, for want of a better word, they're just chugging down Novritsch's slong and telling people to buy this stuff. And honestly, there's better rebrand companies, I think, to go for. But, you know, if the rifle has the features that you want for the price point that you want, I'm not telling you to not go and buy one of these. I'm just saying it was a bit lackluster. Like, imagine having the amount of subscribers that he had when he started doing his own products. Like, it's just, especially with that viewership, even if like 5% purchase your stuff, it's just a license to print money, really. But, you know, I applaud him for that, because, you know, fair play. He's had great success, and you can't fault that at the end of the day. So we have some... God, look how flexible that is. That has got to be the most flexible tappet plate I've ever seen. Ooh. CNC nozzle here. dead loose. The O-ring, it's got an O-ring on it, but the seal is just nowhere to be seen. Got a nice bumper on your cylinder head, but it's so loose that the air seal on that can't be great. My motive is not to pull this thing apart. I'm just saying as I see it. Nice piston head on there, seems to be alright. You know, steel rack gear, that's good. You know, the old Chinese gearbox casings. Gears, they actually seem pretty good quality, to be honest. Not bad at all for cheap gears. And of course you've got a MOSFET in there. Novritsch version 1. Not a bad looking MOSFET really. Looks a bit cheap, but if it works, then don't fault it, I suppose. But where we're going, we don't need MOSFETs. Perhaps I should get that made into a t-shirt. So we got rid of all that, got rid of the gears. These seem pretty firmly in place, so I'm not going to mess with those. I am going to remove the shims. Shimmy shimmy. Trigger's actually not bad. It's not the worst. It would be, I don't know why they make it so blocky and square. Like if you're going to have a flat trigger, just put a chamfer on the part. You know. I'm not going to remove this section because we're probably going to want that. Cloth. Okay. So we removed all that. We will need the trigger spring. And I've never installed one of these Redline kits before. This is something new to me. We have the engine. It's the first airsoft part I've ever seen come with a paper clip as an install tool. Right, I'll get rid of that little bit that's in the way and then we'll be back. Turns out you don't need to file or grind that. You could literally just put a small flathead there and tap it and it just chips off. So we are okay. That pin will now go in there. That will slide in now. Okay, I've popped that in there. I've popped that pin the other way around to the way that it was telling me to, because it sits the trigger block at like a bit of an angle. So I've got the two pins in there. All I've done is I've dropped the bushes out from there and there just to give it a bit more clearance. And basically it tells you to have a bit of free play. So there's a bit of free play in the trigger. It said if that is too tight, the system won't work. So I imagine it needs a bit of room to back out. So it's only a tiny amount, and that seems to be within tolerance. Right, so this seems really pretty simple, to be honest. So I'm going to pull it back out. I'm going to reinstall the selector plate and safety, and then we take the engine and we can pop that in. It's quite a rigid hose, that. And the way this needs to go in, so the top one needs to go into this fitting here. Like that. And the one at the back there needs to come round, go into this one. Oh, I haven't got the finger grip strength. So as long as there's no kinks, it's okay. So that looks okay to me. Just put that pin in, take our trigger, pop the trigger in, we'll rest something on there to keep that down, and then I need to have that hose come out there like that. So bit of finger gymnastics here, and that is the Redline N7G2 fitted. If that is as simple as it is, and this thing works right off the cuff, you can colour me impressed. What I will do is, if this all goes well, because we're going to be ripping the rest of this gun apart anyway, what I'll probably do is rip the casing apart, and we'll put a colour on that as well. Perhaps pull the other two bushings out, because it's not super critical, it just needs to hold the engine in place. And we can scrub this off, because after we're done with it, it's no longer going to be a Novritsch gun. Right, I'm not sure where the camera cut out and left off. However, I've just got the engine in looser here, everything fitted. I've just put the HPA fitting off my AAP on there, because he didn't have one fitted when it came to me. And let's just see if this thing works. So there's no leaks, which is good. Safety is not on. That's not good. Well, I tell you what, this was not planned, but I had this apart, checked all the O-rings. All the O-rings seemed good. Put it back together, and still nothing. Filled up the tank, still nothing. And then what I did is I completely pulled this apart, bar in the back section here, wiped off all the O-rings, and applied the old one lube by none other than yourself. And now we seem to have lift off. So plug it in, no more leaking. And we're golden. So that now works, which is good, which is the best. It's the best advertisement for that product, if I do say so myself, because it wasn't working before. And we'll put this back together. So let's pop this back in here. This system is surprisingly easy to work on. There's not really much to it. You know, if this build goes well, I might I'm not sure if James got this straight from the guys at Redline, or whether it just came through friends of his in the States. But you know, if it goes well, I might ask him if he can put in a cheeky word, and if they can sort me out one, and we'll put it in one of the guns. Because that mechanical, the way that it's just mechanical and you don't need anything else, there's no batteries or anything like that, no FCUs, simply put it in and set your PSI for your intended purpose, whether it's a DMR or whether it's something else. We'll pop that block in while we remember. Let's close this thing down. I do plan to have this. Oh, that's no good, that line coming out there, is it? Forgot about that. Let's just pull it off again. So let's try that again. Trigger unit in, triggers in. This is set. We've got the block in there, and we need to pull that down. Bit of finger gymnastics. That pops over there. We can push the safety block in, wiggle the trigger, I think we're good. So that's going to be able to move, isn't it? So we should be able to hold it in place when we put the lower on. So it's a proper screw in here to hold it. I haven't had to use the paperclip method of setting the trigger unit. It seems to work pretty damn good. And yeah, perhaps it was just dry. I really don't know. But pulling it all apart, lubing it, putting it back together, it started working straight away. So I'm happy with that result. So that's all set in place. So that is the Redline built. I'm probably going to leave it there because it's probably going to be a long video. But yeah, we're going to find a new front end for this, perhaps machine a barrel, make it so this Mark 23 suppressor can work, because these are actually pretty good. For HPA, he's got a fart flap on there, so that's going to be nice and quiet. Box all these bits up that we're not using. And yeah, find a hop unit in a barrel for it. I mean, the gearbox is done. Just a case of setting your power to what you need it. I'm not going to screw it together for good, because I'm going to we'll modify this case in here. I think a lot of people tend to chop the backs out. I don't know why, but we'll strip it back and coat it in a nice colour. So yeah, once we've got the barrel and stuff set, we will need to test nozzle alignments. That's something we can perhaps fix. Perhaps I'll wait to do the casing colour until I've checked the nozzle alignment, because we might have to like drill and tap a hole in the gearbox and maybe do some set screws to push it left or right if it needs it. If not, then happy days. And yeah, I'll ask him about his grip, whether he wants to keep that minus the 3 screws that dropped on the floor. Always dropping stuff on the floor. So yeah, there's one there. So does he want that, or shall we fit this because it's a nice sleek grip? I do like these little grips here. And what rail should we put on the front? So we need to think about that. I was initially going to do a Mark 18 build for him, but it would mean that the barrel will probably be longer. I do have a nice Mark 18 rail somewhere. That's still a possibility. The only plus side to the Mark 18 rail is he won't have to put M-lock panels on to slide his grenade launcher on, so perhaps we'll still look at that. You know, I could butcher. Let's not do that. We can go better than that. I do actually have a MTW9 rail somewhere. I have a KWA one, but I don't think that's going to work with a launcher. That's the Mark 18 rail. It might work. That could be nice and short. That's actually a really nice rail off the MTW9. That would be nice, and we could suppress it. Yeah, maybe. Food for thought. I've obviously got more gun parts than I could shake a stick at. Ooh. So we're bound to have something somewhere. So thanks for tuning this video. This is Project Minotaur, however you want to say it. Stay tuned for the next episode. This is going to be something special. I also have a few other bits and bobs off Jim Bob. That's a phrase I never thought I'd say before. And we'll be doing those projects as well. He's got a very well-known Mach 11 that he likes to use, which has got some issues with it, but we're not just going to stop at fixing the issue because it has a nozzle alignment issue. We're actually going to go one step further, pimp it out, put some upgrade bits into it. We're going to modify the suppressor, because currently his Mach 11 suppressor is just a piece of tube. But, you know, we've got some fancy machines. We can fix that. So thanks for tuning this messy video. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.